good afternoon. We are thrilled today to introduce Vernon Hargreaves as our newest member of the Buccaneers family. And I talked quite a bit about him last night, so without further ado, I'm just going to turn it over.
Thank the Grazer family for letting me be a part of this organization. It's a blessing to be back home, to play right in my backyard, and I'm excited to get started.
I'm going to go ahead and open that up to questions.
Vernon, has it hit you that you've gone from eating at Marco's Pizza now to Ruth Chris Steakhouse?
Not quite. Not until I eat my first meal at Ruth Chris. I haven't been there yet, but probably so.
Vernon, a lot of kids dream about playing for their hometown team, but at what point did you think that it might actually become a reality?
Well, I'd actually have to give a lot of credit to my agent. I talked to my agent the day before the draft, and he said that the Bucs might trade back to 11, and they might get you. And I kind of left it at that. Didn't really think too much of it. And then when the clock came up and I saw that they did trade back, that's when I really started getting nervous. I was like, oh, he might be right. And then it actually happened. And I mean, it's surreal. It's surreal. I still don't know if it's hit me yet, but it's great. It's great. It's an honor to be here.
What have the last 24 hours been like for you? The travel, the decision, the waiting?
I mean, a lot of interviews, a lot of press conferences, but it's great. It's great. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and this is what I dreamed of. This is how it's supposed to be.
Vernon, Jason said yesterday that I think he said he saw some tape of you and you had some Bucs shoes on or something like that. Have you been wearing some Bucs gear as this thing has approached?
It wasn't necessarily Bucs gear, but for the combine, they had a guy up there that was a kind of graphic designer for some cleats, and I got the city of Tampa on the side of my cleats, which was just for the city, and eventually it worked out, I guess.
How much were you hoping that it would be Tampa? I know you said it's a dream to play at home, but I mean, was this really the place you wanted to be more than any other?
Of course. It's right in my backyard. Right next to my mom. Don't want to go too far. So I mean, this was the spot for me.
Vernon, along that lines, everybody talks about how your dad stayed out of the process, but you had somebody you could go to who had been a college coach. You really had a coach right there in the house with you, correct?
Definitely. Growing up, my dad, he didn't coach me, didn't train me. We weren't out 6 a.m. and doing lifting weights and all that type of stuff. He let me figure it out by myself. If I wanted to play sports, and that's what I did. But the main thing that he preached to me was respecting women and keeping my grades right. And I think that worked out great for me.
Vernon, where does the football intelligence come from then? Is it just bloodlines? Since your dad didn't coach you that much, I mean,
right.
Is it, or did you just pick it up naturally from seeing him watching film?
I mean, I have to say a little bit of both. I mean, growing up as a coach's kid and being around at the practices and watching guys like Reggie Wayne and Sean Taylor, I mean, I think things like that just stick with you unconsciously. And I knew I wanted to be like them when I grew up, and I saw how hard they worked at practice, even as a little kid. And I knew they did the right things, and I knew that's how it needed to be done.
At the same time, you think you said at the combine, you just feel like you have natural skills for the cornerback position, and somehow you were just blessed with the ability to cover receivers for a living. Is that still how you feel now?
Of course. My father could probably tell you that the best. It started off when I was in high school, going into my high school year. I was going to play football for my high school, and there was a 7-on-7 tournament, and I didn't know what position I played. And my dad was like, "You want to play?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Where do I play?" He's like, "Oh, there, corner." And the rest was history.
Vernon, is your room still the same at home? Has mom moved your stuff out?
I haven't been back home yet. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what's going on with my room right now. My sister probably moved in, took my bed, and all.
Vernon, last night you said that you're not afraid to show your confidence on the field. How do you expect that to evolve as you grow in the NFL? Are you going to be confident next year as a rookie in the locker room, even with guys here?
Of course. Like, confidence isn't something that leaves you. It's with you. It's something that you have, and it's kind of like a trial and error thing. I'm going to go in, and then whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to get beat. If I get beat, I got to bounce back, make more plays, and I'm going to learn. There's a whole bunch of good guys that are here to learn. Brent Grimes is a guy that I really look up to. I like to model his game, and so I'm going to be in his pocket asking him a whole bunch of questions, and he's going to be annoyed with me. But he just got to deal with me for a little bit.
Vernon, press man, cover 0, or cover 4? What best describes you?
Press man. End of discussion.
Vernon, talk about tackling as a run defender as well. Jason mentioned that, Dirk mentioned that. So that's one of the skills that some people may not realize that you have, that you're really good at that. Talk about, do you have a passion for that part of the game as well?
It's probably the most important thing in the game. You know, if you don't tackle, you definitely don't win. So you know, you can't be scared. You got to go throw your face in the fan and go get the guy on the ground. And you know, that's what I like to do.
We're going to compare you to the first-round draft pick last year. You ready for that?
Of course.
Any other questions?
When you think about the prospects of going up against NFL caliber receivers, the Julio Joneses of the world, what do you think about that?
Man, it's gonna be exciting. I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm ready to showcase my skills. I mean, you really see how good you are on Sundays. You know, it's a whole different ballgame. You got to be elite. So I'm excited to showcase my skills.
Talk us through the phone call right before you got picked. How did it go?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because we were sitting at the round table, I had my phone right in front of me, and my friend that I brought with me to the draft was sitting right across from me on the other side of the table, and he saw the phone ring before I did, and the phone was sitting right in front of me. So I was like, okay, so I picked it up. Obviously, I saw it was 813 area code, and I knew who it was, and you know.
It took about 7 rings. We're about to pick it up.
yeah, and you know, it was a great call, great conversation with Coach, and that was it. It was real simple.
Have you had time to digest it yet, or?
Not yet. Not yet. I don't think it's hit me or my family yet. You know, probably when we get home tonight and kind of talk about it and see it on ESPN a few times, then it's probably gonna be like, okay, it's kind of here now.
So you go up against Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, 3 highly skilled quarterbacks. How's that going to feel? You know,
Well,
talk about the receivers, but the skill of those quarterbacks.
Well, we all know what they can do. You know, we all know that they're the best right there. And you know, we got to do our best job at competing and, you know, knocking them off, getting a win off them.
Vernon, were you a Bucs fan as a kid growing up? Yeah.
You know, not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily. You know, I didn't really necessarily grow up in Tampa. You know, I finished high school in Tampa, which is, you know, why I say I'm from Tampa. But, you know, I didn't really grow up with any favorite NFL teams or anything like that. Wherever my dad was coaching, that was my team.
Vernon, your last shot at Kelvin Benjamin during that Florida State game was kind of a tough one.
Oh, yeah.
For a little redemption.
Oh, yeah. Definitely to see him again, of course. And he definitely knows it.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a